Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here with Varosh once again. We are going on to the winner's match of this group of death. We've got Flash versus Jaedon on Circuit Breaker, and this is going to be, what, the 775,000th time these two have played in a game, and like the 300,000th time they've played in a Star League. And for the first time in, what, 2 or 3 years in a Star League, it's not going to be a best-of series, unless you consider a best-of-1 to be a best-of series. That's right, they're going to be playing one-on-one. The winner of this game goes on into the round of 16 as the top seed out of this group. The loser will have to play the winner of Bisu and Flash, or Bisu and C, to see who gets the lower seed out of this group and accept. So we've got Flash in the top left in blue, the Terran, and Jaedon in the bottom right in brown, it looks like, the Zerg. So cross positions could be a macro game, and it's actually a pretty big map too, so rushing is probably going to be pretty difficult once they figure it out. And will we see another 14cc versus 3-hatch before pool? I don't know, but that would be pretty funny if we did.
That'd be certainly cool, and they are cross-map positions, so if they were blindly going for that, it would work out well for them. I love Circuit Breaker as a map. Such a huge map with so many bases on it. It makes for some great games. We've already seen a lot of great games, and you can see in the Terran versus Zerg matchup, it's 29 and 27, so very, very even. They've got that stat at the bottom left right now. Yeah, I'm so excited for this match. Comment described the entire game as pure orgasm, so I don't know exactly what kind of play we're going to see in this game, but I'm expecting it to be some very pimp play coming out from both of these players, which just seeing that it's Jaedon versus Flash gives you that information pretty much right there too. So I cannot wait for this match to get going.
You know, this is a question I actually can't answer, and I've asked a couple times. I don't know if anyone actually knows. We do actually see a Rax going down from Flash, so it's not going to be a 14cc. But do pro gamers, as they're playing in this MSL series, like this game, are Bisu and C watching this game? Can they watch their opponents play? I have no idea, because if you knew that your opponent like did 14cc before, maybe you could think maybe they'll do it again, or that it's not probable. I don't know, but I was just curious whether or not they actually get to watch each other, because I think that would actually be a pretty huge advantage if you got to see like how someone's muto micro looked on a certain day or something like that. That could actually end up influencing your game, and I have no idea. I was always just wondering if they're allowed to watch.
I know that they stay in their booth until they are eliminated or they get out of the group, so I don't think they do get to watch, just because they would have to be an observer in the game itself to actually get to watch, because obviously they can't see any of the monitors displaying the TV broadcast from their booth. Yeah, that's a pretty obvious explanation there. So I don't think they get to watch, but unless they are observers in the game. But certainly, if I were in the MSL, I would want to watch every game, and I'd be mad if I didn't get to watch. So we are seeing more standard builds coming out from both of our players, more old school style. The metagame, by the way, has gotten so insanely economic as of late, and I think that hatchery went down after the pool. Deja Vu will correct me if I'm totally wrong, but I think it's just a standard 3-hatch, going to be a standard 3-hatch layer coming out from Jaedon, and yeah, the pool is up, so I'm not totally wrong, and a standard 1-rax into CC from Flash. So this is what we would consider standard play, even though like straight up command centers and 3-hatch before pool are becoming more common. This is still what we'd consider to be standard, and they are going to be very close in terms of economy and production and all of those factors, and this is just going to be no early imbalances like that stupid imbalance last game that Flash decided to go for. Just a straight up great game between two of the best players to ever play StarCraft. I'm pumped.
This is going to be fun. We do have the engineering bay with the refinery, so I think we're going to see that quick +1 once again from Flash. Jaedon usually, I would say 9 times in 10, he will open through with Mutas, the other 2 or 3-hatch. He does not usually open lurkers. In fact, I think most Zergs these days just have kind of gone away from lurker openings. It does occur, but Jaedon in particular avoids them because his muto micro is just so freaking good. So I think Flash is kind of anticipating that, and we'll see if Jaedon falls into that or not, because the +1 weapons upgrade on Marines, if that kicks in before the Mutas can really get going, it's kind of disgusting how little those Mutilas do. They just can't swoop in, they can't do much of anything, and it's just like a fighting retreat for the for the Zerg player. So that is something to watch out for if Jaedon does end up doing 3-hatch Muta, and that engineering bay does start upgrading pretty soon. Flash also is one of the most complete players in the game, so it's almost hard to actually is very hard to predict. Will he go straight up M&M with tank and vessel support? Will he transition into a mech? And when will he do it? We've seen so many different games from him. He's become such a, like, one of the great things about Flash, one of the things I do give him huge props for, is how complete of a player he is. There's very few strategies, very few things that he can't do and doesn't do, and I think that's one of the huge advantages he doesn't have, outside of being very eco heavy and wanting to take bases as early as freaking possible. I don't think he has a lot of tendencies in terms of his strategies, and that I think is one of his great advantages. We do have Aspire coming up for Jaedon, and 3 Braxes for Flash right now. So yeah, both players going into their builds, and we are going to have Mutas versus, I think those should be +1 upgraded Marines. I think I saw the engineering bay lighted up.
Yeah, it's going to be +1 Marines, and Jaedon is going for the Mutas, and I think this is actually not their 300,000th, but their 41st meeting, and I think I've watched pretty much all, or most, if not all, of their previous 40 meetings, and based on that, I really think Jaedon needs to do at least some very decent harassment to Flash. If whenever Jaedon's Mutas don't do any or barely do any damage to Flash, Jaedon usually ends up losing those games. So he's going to at least need to do some damage to Flash with these Mutas. Keeping him in his base is not enough. He needs to kill some SCVs or force like an exorbitant amount of turrets. But one way or another, Jaedon needs to get a lot done with these Mutas. And it looks like Flash might be preparing to do that tiny push out to force some sunken colonies to be produced in the meantime. Although sometimes he just skips that entirely. And there's a drone that looks like it's preparing to make something, probably going to be a Hydralisk den, but he might go straight for a Queen's Nest and straight into a super early hive. That would be really cool. That's kind of weird by Jaedon that he had that drone just sitting there idle. I know he's going to build something out of it. And yeah, we do see the tiny push out by Flash, and he actually might get some drone or some Zerglings. No, just one. And here come the Mutas. Deja Vu. How much damage do you think these Mutas are going to do?
You know, I actually have a sneaky suspicion that they're not going to do a whole lot. I think with that +1 upgrade, and as long as Flash gets those turrets up in time, which I think he will be in good shape. Those Marines don't have the upgrade yet, so there is still a window of vulnerability. If Jaedon can take advantage and bring his Lings in, he might be able to do something here, but there it is. There, it just kicked in. And now I think as soon as Jaedon realizes it, as soon as he clicks on Marine and sees that, he's going to be very, very disappointed, because they just can't do anything. Every time I've watched this, they start swooping in there, and Flash, I don't know how he does it, but Flash's Marine control is usually very, very good at singling out Mutas. And oh wait, look at this! Look at this! Those Marines actually get slaughtered. So I was completely wrong. I thought Flash was going to actually manhandle these Mutalisks, and no, they don't. It actually goes completely the other way. Flash losing that entire first batch of Medic Marine. But a little bit unlike C, you'll note that when C lost his first big batch of Medic Marine, he had a very, very small secondary group. This time it looks like Flash is a little bit bigger, but will he lose it again as well? And he will! Flash has just lost 2 big blobs of Medic Marine, so that is a huge fall right now for Flash. He's actually become extremely vulnerable, and I'm actually incredibly shocked that this is working as effectively as it is. Jaedon with some great micro and bringing in his Zerglings at the perfect moment has just absolutely taken a hold of this game right now. Taking out those 2 big globs of Medic Marines means that he's going to take his third base very, very easily. He's going to get it to Lurkers very, very easily. Already got a Queen's Nest, so there's going to be your Hive Tech, and you are all over it. This is going to be a really early Hive, and we're not going to see the standard timing push-out from Flash, so he's not going to be able to put pressure, and you could actually see Jaedon just calmly get to Defilers. Usually when players do this, they're forced to kind of rush to Defilers, and it's a fighting hope that they'll come out in time before the push hits them. But I think Jaedon's going to be in pretty solid, comfortable shape by the time his Hive Tech starts hitting.
Yeah, Flash has been way, way, way too adventurous with his Marines in this game, and that's a thing that we see a lot of Terrans doing these days, and for the life of me, I can't understand why Terrans are so reckless with their early Marine groups. They need to be, like, saving those up and macroing. Like, they do that early push out to try to force some sunken colonies, but so often we saw it happen to C and we saw it happen to Flash. They just lose their whole medic marine force, and that puts them at such a big disadvantage in terms of their later push. Flash taking out one Mutalisk in that engagement, so that was pretty good. But the lurkers are out on the map, and now Flash is going to have to wait until he has vessels to effectively push out anyway. So we might as well have had another 24 Marines and another 8 medics to do so with, being so reckless, uncharacteristic from Flash. We know him as he's the best Terran in StarCraft because he's the most solid Terran in StarCraft that never throws away his units completely recklessly. And that lurker's kind of zooming around, glitching out. Flash trying to stim and catch these lurkers while they're unburrowed, and that's a huge clump of lurkers all at the same time. And the Defiler Mound is already coming up, and this push is coming in actually, but there's going to be a sunken colony and tons of lurkers at home. So unless Flash shows unbelievable marine splitting and micro, it's not going to happen for him. And especially with these bridges outside of the natural on Circuit Breaker, I don't see how Flash is actually going to be able to get into the natural. Jaedon making great use of the artifacts of this map, and meanwhile he's got another force of lurkers and his Mutals at back at the other end of the map, and he's going to put some pressure onto Flash's front.
Yeah, and that was actually a very dangerous moment for Flash with his Medic Marine, one big ball out of his base, and all the other support units, the tanks and things behind. You actually could have seen that Medic Marine ball get pincered, which could have been terrible, but he was able to escape there. I think that SCV scouting out the location of those forces was really critical, and Flash was able to kind of move around it. But here comes a big engagement. Flash is going to engage a ton of lurkers, a couple of them actually getting kind of behind the Marines even, and those are going to be the most important lurkers. Those are the ones going to catch the Marines as they're retreating, and look at all that blood! That is all Marine blood. That is not Zerg blood. That is Terran, Marine, and Medic blood, and there is a lot of it. Lurkers are still piling on in. Flash has lost so many units. We finally saw a lot of the Zerglings go down, but look at all of these units, these dead Marines. This is so sad if you are a Flash fan. If you are a fan of Terran versus Zerg, this is another sad, terrible day, and you are not going to be happy at all. This game is I mean, Flash is on his last legs. This is... If you thought the last Flash versus Bisu was a comeback, if Flash wins this is a comeback for the century. This would be outrageous if he got back. If he got back into this, I'm just going to throw my mic and say Flash is imbalanced, because there's no way he should come back from this against Jaedon with Defilers out and losing basically all of his troops.
Well, that's what we were saying last game against Bisu, that there's no way Flash could come back, and he did it that time. I have to say, while you were talking and that attack by Jaedon was coming in, I was having a soulgasm back here at the Varosh Den. That was the best lurker control I have ever seen in my entire life. Jaedon, just with lurkers and lings, he actually, at the beginning of that engagement, lost all of his mutas, totally just donated them. They played no part in that battle, just with supreme lurker and ling control, destroyed, dismantled Flash, and now that the Defiler and Consumes are up, just leapfrogging lurkers into the base and forcing Flash to actually lift off his natural command center and stop mining his natural expansion. This is so bad for Flash. He's only mining off of his main base, and he's only got 2 to 3 minutes worth of mining left to do on his main base as it is, and he's not gonna there's lurkers on his ramp. There's lurkers on his ramp. This is terrible. Oh my god, he's not even gonna last. You're right. He's not even gonna last that long. Lings streaming in, lurkers continuing to push up. That Defiler is so great. I think it just died to an irradiate now, but that Defiler got down so many swarms, did so much damage. Wow.
You know, there are some games that I watch and I literally just smile during, and this is one of those. The play of Jaedon is just so amazing, so I don't know what the word describes, transcendent, so unbelievable, so what other adjectives can you come up with to describe his play that you can't help but smile? I mean, this is absolutely incredible. You're right, that lurker control was out of this world. Controlling those lurkers to actually get them behind was absolutely ridiculous. And we see Flash actually doing a pretty good job defending. He may actually end up surviving. for a little while. Yeah, it looks like he's gonna live, at least for now. He's lost a couple barracks, can't mine anywhere. I mean, the game is over essentially, but he is technically alive. We have an Ultras cavern going up in a 4th base for Jaedon, so this game is kind of reaching the laughable point a little bit. We could, and I don't think anyone's ever going to do a victory celebration. I don't think. Oh my God, that barracks burning to death. That was uncharacteristic. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a victory celebration like a proxy hatcher or anything like that. I don't think he would do that to his arch enemy Flash, but yeah, this game is so very over.
Yeah, just a beautiful game that Jaedon played throughout this entire thing. Flash, because he lost 3 of his 5 barracks trying to make a tech switch into mech, because hey, why not? If you've got to rebuild all of your production, and it might as well be factories. And he's building another command center, so he's got 3 command centers. Unfortunately, he's on 1 base. If in theory, in the alternate universe where those 3 command centers are at 3 different bases, this is looking like a pretty close, awesome game that's still going on. But as it is, this is an awesome game that is coming to a close, and Flash really just needs to be really needs to realize it's over and GG out of this. It looks like he's going to try to push out, re-secure his natural expansion, and start mining from it again. And if he can do that, yeah, I guess technically he's still got a fighting, he's still got roughly a snowball's chance. In my room right now, it is like 80 degrees. I don't mean to complain, but God, it's hot. Maybe he's got about that chance, but it's not looking so good for him. And Lurker's running in, another swarm. If he can take down all of these tanks, then Flash will finally have to GG. He's got 3 tanks left. One of them's under fire, and the other 2 have actually SCVs devoted to repairing them. So good for Flash, trying to keep all of his units alive as long as possible. And he's transferring SCVs directly into Lurkers. No, all the Lurkers dying, all the SCVs dying. That is a 19-kill Lurker. Oh my God. Oh, it finally gets killed by tanks, but not before getting nearly 20 kills, and finally Flash GGing. So Jaedon 2-0ing his group. I guess he had an easier route than Flash or Bisu did, because he got to play C the first game, but Jaedon, beautiful play, really deserving that spot. And how good does he look for winning this entire MSL after seeing that game?
That was shockingly good. That was incredible. I'm still smiling. I am just so happy to see that. That was so well played. I am just that. You know, the game speaks for itself. You don't even need to describe it. The game speaks for itself. Watch the control of the Lurkers. Watch the Mutalisk. Watch the Mutaling assault on the Marines, and the game speaks for itself. It was just incredible.
Has Jaedon reached a whole nother level? Like, I've never seen a Zerg play that good, and it was against Flash too. If that was against like some random Terran like Reality, we'd be like, oh, he's just a outclassed Reality. But it looks like he just completely outclassed Flash, the best Terran ever. How is this possible? This is ridiculous.
I don't know what to tell you, but I wonder what happens to Flash's mentality after that. Losing a game like that where he really did get utterly dominated. He never really looked good throughout that entire game, and assuming the final, I think we're assuming that Bisu beats C, or yeah, and we're just gonna operate on that for the sake of projecting. But assuming that Bisu does beat C and plays Flash, like, what is Flash's mentality right now? I mean, yeah, he beat Bisu despite that disadvantage in the first game, but he just got utterly dominated, and that's his last thought in the game, is that he just got absolutely destroyed by Jaedon. And you know, you gotta kind of worry for Flash in that situation. If he should go on, well, if you play C or Bisu, you've got to be worrying about that kind of mentality.
Oh wait, we forgot to sign off. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching that game. That was awesome. And Flash actually did leave his booth, so I could be completely wrong. I didn't think players left their booth unless they won the group or they got eliminated. But Flash, after losing the winners match, is able to leave his group. So maybe he can watch other games. Anyway, that game was so awesome, and next we have Bisu versus C, which should also be a really awesome Protoss versus Terran. I look forward to seeing you all and Deja Vu in that game. GG.